I did not know that my way of living was a trap. For most of my life, I thought it was a superpower. My name is Lawrence. I was born in a small village in China in the 1950s. The world then was very different from today. There were no tall buildings, there were no fast trains. My world was made of yellow dust, gray stones, and green rice plants. In my village, we had a special saying. Every child knew it. The phrase was, eating bitterness. It does not mean eating sour lemons. It means enduring hard times. It means that if life is hard, you must be harder. If your back hurts, you do not stop. If you are hungry, you do not complain. My parents were the masters of eating bitterness. They were simple farmers. They had lived through a terrible time in the past. We called it the time of no food. During those years, many people died because there was nothing to eat. People even ate the skin of trees. Because my parents survived that time, they believed that suffering was the only way to stay alive. Every morning, the sky was black when my father woke me up. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. The air in our house was freezing cold. "Get up, Lawrence," my father whispered. His voice was rough. "We must go to the market." I was only 7 years old. I was small and thin. I wanted to stay in my warm bed. I wanted to dream about sweet beans and warm bread. But I got up, I put on my old clothes and my thin shoes. We walked to the market. We had one old rusty bicycle. We put heavy bags of potatoes and vegetables on the back. It was very heavy. My father pushed the bike from the back. I pulled from the front with a rope. We walked for 10 kilometers. The wind was cold like a knife on my face. My hands developed hard, thick skin. My feet hurt with every step. Sometimes I wanted to cry. I wanted to sit in the grass and stop. But then I looked at my father. He never complained. He just pushed. "Look at us, Lawrence," he said. "We are tough. City people are soft. We are like rocks. We can survive anything." He was proud of his pain. He thought suffering made him special. And because I loved him, I wanted to be like him. When I started school, my teacher taught me the same lesson. My teacher was Mr. Smith. One day, he wrote a sentence on the blackboard. "No pain, no gain." He looked at us. "This means if you want to be a great man, you must suffer more than other people." I looked at those words and I felt a fire in my heart. The idea seemed simple. Suffering was like money. If I saved enough suffering, one day I could buy success. So I decided to be the best at suffering. Other children played outside in the spring. I did not join them. I sat under a tree with my books. I studied history and math until my eyes hurt and my head felt heavy. In winter, the classroom was very cold. My classmates rubbed their hands together. They said, "It is too cold." But I sat perfectly still. I did not wear gloves. I told myself, the cold makes me strong. I was a very good student. My grades were perfect. But deep inside, I felt something strange. It was a heavy feeling, like a stone in my stomach. One Sunday, the sun was shining. It was a beautiful day. I finished my work. I fed the pigs. I carried the water. I saw a group of boys running to the river. They were swimming and laughing. The sound of their laughter was like clear water. I took one step towards them. I wanted to jump in the water. I wanted to play. But then a voice in my head stopped me. It was not my father's voice. It was my own voice. "Why are you resting, Lawrence?" the voice said. "Your parents are working in the field. Your mother is tired. Your father is sweating. It is wrong to have fun. Fun is for lazy people." I stopped. The happy feeling left my heart. I felt bad, like I did something wrong. I turned around. I walked back to the house. I picked up a broom. I started to clean the floor. The floor was already clean, but I needed to work. I needed to prove that I was not lazy. My mother came home. She saw me working. She smiled. "Oh, Lawrence, you are such a good son. You are always working. You will be a great man one day." Her words made me feel good, but also like a prisoner. I realized I couldn't stop. If I stopped suffering, I would lose their love. I was 12 years old, and I felt like an old man. I carried a mountain on my back, and I was afraid to put it down. Time moved forward, but the stone in my heart grew heavier. I left my village when I was 16. I went to high school in the city. I lived in a room with 12 other boys. The room smelled of old shoes. The other boys bought hot food for lunch. I ate cold bread and salty vegetables from home. They tasted sour, but they tasted like my parents' hard work. One winter, my father sent me a letter. He wrote that they sold our big pig. That pig was important. It was their money for a new roof or for the doctor. But they sent the money to me. "Study hard," the letter said. "Be the dragon that flies out of our poor village." I held the money. It felt hot in my hands. I could not waste one penny. I could not waste 1 minute. If I slept too much, I felt I was stealing from my father. If I laughed too loud, I felt I was laughing at my mother. I studied all night with a small light. I became the #1 student. I ate bitterness like it was food. Finally, I passed the big exams. I went to a very good university in Beijing. I was the first person from my village to go to the capital city. My parents had a big dinner for the neighbors. My father's back was bent, but he looked happy. "My son is a man of iron," he shouted. "He knows how to suffer." Everyone clapped. I smiled, but my eyes were sad. I felt like a horse that finished a race, only to see another, longer race ahead. I got a job at a big company. I was an engineer. I wore a white shirt. I worked in an office with cool air. I escaped the yellow dust and the gray stones. But the habit of suffering stayed with me. I was always the first person at work. I was always the last person to leave. I never asked for more money. I never complained. My friends went to sing songs at karaoke bars on Friday nights. "Come on, Lawrence, relax, have a drink." "No," I said, "I have work." I looked at them. I thought they were lazy. I thought they were weak. I am eating bitterness, I thought. I am building a future. I married a kind woman named May. We had a son. We bought an apartment and a car. We had everything. But I was a ghost in my own home. On weekends, I did not take my son to the park. I worked. I could not sit on the sofa and watch a movie. If I sat still, my heart beat very fast. I felt scared. I felt bad. "Why are you resting?" the voice whispered. "You are not safe. Work harder." One day, May bought a new chair. It was soft and expensive. "Sit, Lawrence," she said. "You work hard. Be comfortable." I sat in the chair. It was soft, but I felt sick. I thought about my father pushing the bicycle in the cold wind. How could I sit in this soft chair? I felt like a bad person. I stood up. "It is too soft. It makes a man lazy. Return it." May looked at me with sad eyes. She did not argue. Then, when I was 40 years old, something changed. My company sent me to America for business. I traveled to a city called Seattle. I met an American engineer named Mark. He was my age, but he looked younger. He smiled a lot. On Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock, Mark stood up. He put on his coat. "Okay, Lawrence, work is done. Let's go." "Go?" I asked. "But it is only 5 o'clock. We can work more." Mark laughed. "No, my friend, it is the weekend. Tonight I will watch my daughter play soccer. Tomorrow I will go walking in the mountains." I was shocked. "Walking in the mountains? Does that help your job?" Mark looked at me. "Lawrence," he said, "I work to get money for my life, but work is not my life. Walking makes me happy. My family makes me happy. If I am not happy, why do I work?" I stood in the office. I looked at Mark. He did not look lazy. He looked alive. That weekend, Mark invited me to his house. I saw his family eating and laughing in the garden. No one was suffering. No one was eating bitterness. They were just happy. I sat in the garden. The sun was warm. For the first time, the voice in my head was quiet. I looked at these people. They were successful. They were good people. But they did not carry mountains on their backs. A terrible question came to my mind. What if I was wrong? What if my suffering was not a superpower? What if it was just a cage? I looked at my hands. They were smooth now, but they were empty. I spent 40 years buying success with my pain, but now I realized I bought the wrong thing. I felt a tear on my face. It was a tear of fear. I was 40 years old. I had climbed to the top of the mountain, but now I saw that I climbed the wrong mountain, and I did not know how to come down. I returned to China, but I felt like a stranger in my life. I tried to change. One Saturday, I told May, "Let's go to the movies." She was surprised. We went to the theater. We ate popcorn. But during the movie, my leg shook. I looked at my watch many times. "What am I doing?" the voice whispered. "I should be working. I should be cleaning." I could not enjoy the movie. The cage was locked tight, and I lost the key. I went back to work, but my eyes were open now. I looked around the office. I saw young people sleeping at their desks. I saw them eating fast food, looking very tired. They were hurting themselves to help the company. I realized something terrible. My suffering did not make me special. It just made me easy to use. The company loved my bitterness because it made them rich. I was not a hero. I was just a machine. Years passed. My hair turned white. My back began to curve like my father's back. My son, David, grew up. He was a quiet, serious boy. He studied hard. He became an accountant in Shanghai. One day, I visited him. His apartment was perfect, but it was silent. I saw David sitting at his table on a Sunday. He was working on his computer. He looked tired. "David," I said, "it is Sunday. Go for a walk with your wife." David did not look up. "I can't, Father," he said. "I have to finish this. If I don't work hard, I will lose. You taught me that. Eating bitterness, remember?" His words hit me like a stone. I had succeeded. I gave the habit of bitterness to him. I thought I gave him a gift, but I gave him a sickness. I taught him how to survive, but I never taught him how to live. I retired. I stopped working. The silence in my life was very loud. Without work, without the pain, I felt I had no value. Then last year, I got sick. I lay in a hospital bed for 3 weeks. I had a lot of time to think. I thought about the rusty bicycle. I thought about the soft chair. I realized that eating bitterness is not a good rule. It is just a reaction to pain from the past. When someone hits you, you get a bruise. The bruise is not beautiful. It is just a sign that you were hurt. We should not be proud of the bruise. We should try to stop the hitting. I survived the sickness, but I was weak. I sat in the park near my home. One afternoon, my grandson, Tom, visited me. He is 7 years old. He has bright, happy eyes. Tom was drawing a picture. He was drawing a tiger with purple wings.
"Grandpa," he said, "look at my tiger." I looked. It was messy. The lines were not straight. The old Lawrence wanted to say, "That is not a real tiger. Tigers are orange. Tigers do not have wings. You must study science, not drawing. Drawing is useless." The words were in my mouth. The habit was so strong. But then I looked at his small hands. They were soft. They had no hard skin. They never pulled a heavy rope. I took a deep breath. I pushed the old stone out of my throat. "It is beautiful, Tom," I said. My voice shook a little. "A tiger with wings can fly over the mountains. He does not have to climb them." Tom smiled. "Yes, he flies to the clouds." I pulled him close. I smelled the clean soap in his hair. "Listen to me, little tiger," I whispered. He looked up. "People will tell you that you must suffer to be good. They will tell you that pain is like gold. Do not believe them." "Why, Grandpa?" "Because life is hard enough. If you are cold, put on a coat. If you are tired, sleep. If you are happy, laugh loudly." I looked into his eyes. "You do not need to eat bitterness. You just need to be kind and brave and be yourself." Tom nodded. He ran off to chase a butterfly. I sat back on the bench. The sun was going down. The sky was gold and purple. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. For 70 years, I walked with my head down. I looked at the dirt. I pushed a heavy load. I missed thousands of sunsets, but I did not miss this one. I took a deep breath of the cool air. I felt sad for the past, but the feeling was soft now. It was not a sharp stone. It was like a soft cloud. I cannot change my past. The scars are part of me. But I watched my grandson running on the grass. He held his purple tighter. I knew the chain was broken. He would not be a rock. He would be a bird. For the first time in my life, I had nothing to do. I had nothing to prove. I felt light. I closed my eyes. I did not eat bitterness. I just tasted the air, and it was sweet. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends.